No matter how confident a person is, everyone experiences fear. Fear is a powerful emotion that can have very serious repercussions. It affects the body and the mind, and if not handled properly, it sometimes can be debilitating. Connecting Point's Veronica Garcia sat down with Eliel Gonzalez to discuss the causes of and ways to manage fear.
Fear is something that we all go through, humans, animals. Fear is a part of our lives. As a matter of fact, fear is a natural, a physiological, and an emotional response to certain stimuli. Fear, we have been created to be able to tell which circumstance that we face, it's good for me, is beneficial, and which circumstance might hurt me. So we have a system in our body that lets us know, hey, listen, this might be threatening to you, versus it's okay. This is a moment that you can embrace, that you can manage. And so fear is something that we all go through in our daily lives. Whether it is, I don't know what's going to happen when I make this decision. I don't know what's going to be the outcome of this moment. It's calculating what's going to happen and whether I'm going to be safe in a situation or not safe in our situation. And many people respond to it in different forms. Our bodies respond to it in different ways. Some people have learned how to manage those uncertainties through experiences, and some might not have the tools to be able to make those decisions and be able to differentiate. Well, this is something that's okay versus this is something that's going to hurt me. For example, if you're walking out in the woods, something that you enjoy doing, you might hear the rattle of a rattlesnake. And that's a moment where you say, wait a minute, I have to pause. Now, there's a difference if you're in your car and you're thinking about rattlesnakes and you react in a full-blown panic attack. Those are two different things. So fear is something that we all go through. Whether you are the CEO of a company or you are someone who, who's not a CEO, we all go through it.
Yeah.
We all go through it.
So fear lives in our mind, but also affect our body, our soul.
Yeah.
So how can overcome fear?
Yeah, that's one thing I think we have to understand how our bodies react. We have, within our brain, we have the limbic system, which the limbic system takes care of emotions, takes care of your motivations, takes care of when you're hungry, when you want to eat, it takes care of our life of intimacy. And that's where we see the physical reaction. That's where we see the messages being sent. This is good. This is not good. And so when we are facing a moment of crisis or a moment of decision, our bodies begin to react. If it's a moment of crisis, your bronchi begin to constrict, so you begin to breathe faster. Your pupils dilate. You have all these physical, begin to sweat. You might panic. You might freeze. You might want to run. It's part of our either flight or fight or be still or move on system. So it's the first is understanding the context where you're at, being aware of where you're at. If there's imminent danger, then your body will react to that. The problem is that many times we are fearing things that are not within our immediate context, meaning we project our thoughts into what can happen, into the future, or thoughts of the past may come back and it creates a reaction within us. we begin to hyperventilate, or we have what we know as panic attacks, which is a heightened state of sensibility for 10 minutes or more, where you begin to, breathe hard and pace back and forth, and you think you're going to have a heart attack. That's real. Those are real things.
So, in that point, how I will know if I am the panic attack or I, have a moment of anxiety or fear? How I will see the difference?
Yeah. So fear, let's put it. So fear is that normal response, right? And you're able to handle it. You're able to move forward, and you're able to say, I can do this. I see the situation. Here's a way out. Here's a way of managing it. Versus the panic attack can come in at any moment. We have, in the United States, we have over 24 million people suffering from an anxiety disorder. 1 in 4 people will have a panic attack. And so the panic attack may come at any moment. And researchers and doctors and psychiatrists are still learning the processes of the panic attack system, but it's connected to the past, it's combined and connected to genetics, traumas in the past, difficult circumstances that people go through that may be triggered by, a context or smell. Somebody said something, and that triggers, a response of panic in people's lives. And so when you feel that you're starting to breathe hard, and that you're starting to sweat, and that's the moment that you might begin to have a panic attack. Much different from I can calculate what's going on. I can handle this. And the panic attack can come at any moment.
And you have had the opportunity to consult a lot of people. What is the most common fear that people have?
Well, as a minister and as a pastor, I've been dealing with people and working with people for a long, long time. And there's several. So the past is one of the things that people come to the church and to my office and talk, and they're fearful that they can't let go of the past, that they can't, that they're not good enough for the moment right now, and that creates a lot of fear in people. Fear of not being good enough, or fear of failure, or fear that I can't start a new life, or fear that the people around me are going to reject me, and that can create a sense of phobia, or a sense of alienation. So I distance myself from the very people that love me. I distance myself from the people that can help me. That's one thing. The other is when they have to make big decisions in life, when they have to move on. So yeah, I think one of the ways that we can deal with fear is that very same thing. Create a community of people that you can trust and that love you and that have the best interest of your heart.